part two. So that was, you know, my book I wrote was my struggles in identifying that problem and going back. And I even write all that out in the book. Like I'm giving all the book away, but you know what? I'm looking at it like this. If there's anything that I'm saying that resonates with you, anything that, maybe I'm giving you some type of encouragement, helping you with in some type of form. If it's anything, I appreciate you. I appreciate you giving me your time and attention because you didn't have to. But here I am. I done crossed your path. You listening to me now. And at some point, you have to fix into your mind that it's time to move on. So that's what I did. I moved on. Maybe I skipped something. I don't know. We'll start fresh right here. We're going to keep that though. But anyway, I learned how to move on. And I learned that a lot of the anger issues that I had when I would lash out or go overboard about certain things, it more than likely it has something to do with me not dealing with that pain that came from my dad. Because when you get betrayed by your dad, that's just heavy to deal with. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't know, like, especially when you had so much respect and you looked at him like, he's your dad. And back then, that had a certain amount of authority that went along with it. You know what I'm saying? It's hard for folks my age to even have a adult conversation with their parents even now because of the hurt that was given to them that was never addressed, that they know in their heart of hearts that their parent, is still thinking and feeling the way that they felt. Like, they're not gonna say sorry to you. They're not gonna stuck in their ways. You know what I'm saying? They're not gonna evolve to that because their logic is that's how I handled it as a parent, and you here today, so how I dealt with it is how I dealt with it. So I ain't apologizing. There's people with that type of philosophy. It's just not like that much now because people are understanding um, that a lot of our mental health issues come from that type of trauma of getting whooped with switches and cable cords and belts and shit like that, getting shoes and shit thrown at us. And like, yeah, I mean, I get it. But just because it was acceptable back then, it don't mean that it don't need to be addressing now. But that's just a whole nother argument. That's a whole nother video in itself. But I'm just getting back to the point where that was, an element that the reason why I dealt with it the way that I dealt with it at that particular time is there was a big blowout between my wife and I at that particular point, my ex-wife and I. At that point, we were separated, but we weren't completely, as far as I was concerned, it wasn't off the table that we can reconcile. But unfortunately, it didn't go that way. But there was something that happened that really pissed me off with her. And I went in on her. And then I felt like shit about it. Because that just wasn't who I was. And I just understood that, there was a reason why I left. Like, she brings the absolute worst out of me. And it's not any, I don't believe she's even doing it consciously. I mean, it could just come down to personality clashes. And without any real honest communication and transparency, shit just ain't gonna work out. So with that being said, um, there was a lot for me to deal with. And I hurt a lot. I was angry a lot. I was bitter a lot. And I struggled through that particular point in time. I struggled to it. I struggled through it. And I hated myself. I felt like I was powerless. I felt unheard, unrespected. I just felt like there was nothing going. It felt like everything was falling apart. But I was able to, you know, learn at that particular point. That's the most important thing I did. I learned. So it was dark. So I want to just drop a jewel right now because, you know, like attracts like. So when you're going through certain challenges in life, when they really tough, when they really tough for you, and you're having a real hard time, I really believe that we are drawn to certain things. See, I get drawn to a lot of law of attraction videos and different ways to manifest money and love and things of that nature. Lately, I've been looking at different people doing tarot readings. I've been learning a lot of things here over the last, really for the past couple of years. I've been on a real heavy learning session with this life, whether it was emotionally and spiritually, whether it was things that I needed to learn to better myself, whether it was learning things about comedic values, whether it's learning things about what atheists think, um, you know, different types of spiritualists, twin flame teachers, and spiritual teachers, and law of attraction, motivational speakers, and things of that nature. I just got so much of a plethora of different information over the last few years. So the reason I make these videos in the dark is because, hopefully you'll be able to figure out a way to get the audio or somewhere, or even if not, if you're on YouTube, I know you can play videos in the background if you pay the little bit of monthly premium price, but stuff like this that I'm doing right here, because you can't see me, you can't focus on me. Only thing you can focus on is the words, which is the way that it should be. And whether you got to just close your eyes and just be in a room by yourself laying down, or listening to it in your car, or sitting in your living room by yourself chilling with some incense and candles going, and you just meditating, that's what this is for. I don't really care about your sight, your physical sight. I want you to get involved in what I'm doing with your vision, because if I can take you on some of my stories and let you know some of my pain and the way that it made me feel, and you can take yourself back to whatever that was in your life that gave you that type of trauma. You can also take yourself to a happier place, to a place that's more beneficial to your mental well-being. If you want to be happy, all you have to do is just think it. Be happy. It's an action word. It doesn't mean you're going to be sky high every day. It just means that you're making a conscious effort to not sweat the small shit and be honest with yourself when it comes to getting at the big shit and addressing it head on instead of running from it, instead of trying to just, patch holes in the ship patch them in, get back on shore, and then really fix what's going on and making it leak. This is what I'm doing. And I'm just on this journey sharing it with you all. But I've gotten to the point where right now I'm on I guess you can call it, I've just accepted the fact that how far I've come is a success. I'm a success right now. I'm a success story as far as coming through the darkest part of depression and living to tell about it. And it's other folks like me too. This is how you get all these motivational speakers. And we all are on one accord when it comes to there's people that needs our help. There's people that want something to listen to. They want something fresh. Maybe they want to be discreet about it and they don't want everybody to know the type of hurt that they in. So this is why they listen to it by themselves in their car and in their Walkmans, or not Walkmans no more, but their headphones. I tell you how old I am. But we understand that if we pay it forward and plant these seeds and use our gifts for a greater purpose that's outside of ourselves that can help, all that shit's gonna come back to us anyway. That's what it's supposed to. Our gift will make room for us. This is why we do it. I'm telling you my story so you can see the red flags when you come to these bridges if you haven't got there yet. And if I tell you something and you're like, well, yeah, I felt that in a good way because of the fact that I've been there and I've done that too. Well, shoot, acknowledge that too. You know what I'm saying? Celebrate that too. It's supposed to be for that. But as I've learned and I've been able to navigate myself, which I can never say that it was by myself because I had some big help along the lines. And that's another thing. You have to be open to receive help. Open to receive help. I got into the storytelling, now I'm giving the lesson. Open to receive help. This is what you do. Once you're open to receive help, the help will come. You have to understand that. You can't get anything unless you have a way to receive it. Do you understand? There's help out there for you. But number one, you need to admit that you need help. And then number two, you have to put yourself in a position from a mental and spiritual aspect that you are ready to receive this help. And when you receive this help, sometimes when it helps, when you get help, it hurts before it starts to feel good. I've never had surgery before, but from what I've understood and what was told to me is that when people get surgery, they don't really feel it because they're under the drugs or whatnot, so they can't feel it. And then they wake up and they got this hole that's patched up. And at that point, it wasn't bad, but then the medicine started wearing off. So then that's when the pain hit. In the next couple of days, they're going to be way worse than the first day that it happened. But the process of healing has already begun. You understand? So if the process of healing has already begun, and you know that it's not supposed to feel good, well, you just have to endure that because you know that it's for your greater good. You understand? Do you understand that part? So that's the part that a lot of people run from when it comes time for their healing, because they don't want to endure that pain, that healing pain. They don't want to endure that. That's hard. depending on what that healing pain is that needs to be fixed. So, but just to get to that point where you have gotten there should be commended. So I do these at the dark where I know you can't see me, because I know that there's other people that's in those dark areas. And when I was down there, I couldn't see shit. All I felt was my misery and my pain. I just felt the depression. I just felt like I wasn't shit no more. I wasn't a man. That's what I felt like. I felt like I wasn't even a man. I felt like there's people that's got to help me because I ain't shit. This is what I'm thinking to myself. Imagine if that's on a loop 24 hours a day for 2 or 3 years straight. Sometimes you can cut it off and listen to some good shit, but then 2 or 3 hours later when it wears off, or you might take a nap, then you may wake up and forget that you have the power to consciously think good thoughts after you wake, but you don't, and you just let whatever pops in your mind, and then it's unaddressed, and you begin to dwell on that, and then next thing you know, you're 4 or 5 hours later pissed off, bitter, and depressed. You can get over that shit. You're gonna have to. So number one was open to receive. Number two is understanding that it's just a healing pain. Meaning healing. You're going through it. It's not going to feel good. But you're being healed. You're healing. Number three, being patient with yourself. If you've taken 25 years to never address something that happened to you as a child, do you really think that you can hear a motivational speech and get encouraged and do everything that he says, and then 2 days later, you're completely done? You're completely healed? No, like that's 25 years of running, exhaustion, bitterness. Hopefully, the worst that you've had was a divorce. You know what I'm saying? If the worst you had was a divorce, then you're blessed. But some people, they murder people, they kill themselves just because they haven't addressed the real issues that they've had. They've ran from them. So you have to understand that it's a marathon. You know what I'm saying? It's a marathon. So getting back to the people that helped me, my cousin, she's a minister, beautiful hearted person. I would go to her and I would tell her certain things, and I would have complete breakdowns in front of her. And my hurt and my pain. And she would put her arms around me, because before she was a minister, she was my cousin. So her little cousin is going through pain, and he needs somebody. He needs some type of comfort. He needs some type of guidance. He just needs to know that somebody's here for him. So her wrapping her arms around me and making me feel safe, it helped me in my healing process. Healing process. In the beginning of my real bad storm of ending to a marriage, I wouldn't talk to her. And the reason I would talk to her first is because she was the one that actually married us. You know? So that was the reason why she had such a great influence, and I listened to her, and I was grateful that she didn't judge me. You know?